Okay, guys, welcome back. Secrets of the Lost Tomb. So, when we left off here, we were on Christopher St. George's turn, and he happened to find the first main room where the Staff of Ra is located. Unfortunately, that did spawn a few monsters that might want to kill us. So, there's three keepers of the tomb here, so we're going to go ahead and do a combat action here with Christopher St. George. So, again, we're going to do his dexterity because we're going to use the Tommy gun. Now, it's a two-handed weapon, so I can't have any other weapons. And so he gets +4. He has area combat, which we will go ahead and do in this case because he can't hurt anybody else in that room. So he's going to do that, which is just basically we roll 3 separate combat actions, but we only have to spend 1 action to do it. We get to attack everything in the room. The Tommy gun will succeed on a 4, 5, or 6, which is great. And then the upkeeps for re-rolling. So, let's go ahead and get into combat over here and see what happens. So, we're going to transfer back over to our lovely little dice roller. Let's go back. Alright, so we got 4 for his dexterity, 4 because he is using the Tommy gun. The next thing you would add is the outnumber bonus. But, unfortunately, there are 3 of us and 3 of the enemy, so we do not get the outnumber bonus for the first roll. Okay. So, let's go ahead and we'll roll the first dice. This is against the first monster. 3, 4. Alright, so that's only 2 successes there with a lot of 1s. So, this is one of the situations where you can use Audacity. Audacity has 2 uses. The first can be to make it so you hit on a 4, 5, or 6 before you roll the dice. The Tommy gun has that built into it by default, so we don't need to do that. So the second thing you can do is you can spend an Audacity point to re-roll all of your dice. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We'll spend 1 Audacity point on Christopher St. George, taking him from 4 Audacity to 3 Audacity, and we'll just roll all the dice again. Maybe we'll get better this time. So 4, 5, and 6 is our successes, so we have 1, 2, 3 successes on here. So that's a little bit better. So we'll hop back here and we'll go over again. We'll look at the creatures card so you can see everything here. So the first thing, I apologize, the first thing that happens is you'll lose your 2 courage for that. Alright, so I had 3 successes. He has a combat rating of 3, so I don't take any damage back. He has no armor and 5 health. So he would have 2 health back. So let me go ahead and let's transfer back over here. Alright. So let's grab this. Putting our tokens out so we just remember what we've done. Alright, and we'll start our second combat here. So he will go ahead and we'll roll again. This is on the second of the undeads. So we got 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 3's the. So we'll lose 1, 2. Oh, I apologize. So when we fought the second one, we actually hit. Let me hop back to the real camera here. So when we fought the second one, we actually lost 2 more courage, which hits us to the first negative category of -1 to all of our checks. So, so let's actually hop back in here. So actually, instead of our 8 dice, we have 7 dice. We'll re-roll that for you guys. So it's still 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we actually went up in the number of successes. So we still don't take any damage. Unfortunately, we didn't kill them either. Okay. So let's go ahead and go to the third monster. So that would take us to the next level, unfortunately, uh, -7, which brings him into his -2 for his combat rating. Not so ideal for us, but we'll make it work, hopefully. So let's hop back into the dice here. So we need to adjust this from now 7 dice down to 6 dice. And that was a good roll. 4, 5, 6, 6, 5. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 successes, which is exactly how many we needed to kill the Keeper of the Tomb. So let's hop back over here. Again, we'll look at the card here. Let's pop it back in that so you can see it again here. So when you kill it, you'll get 3 soul shards, which are represented by these diamonds right here. So I'll put 3 of them on his card. You get their courage rating. You take half of it and you round up if it's not a whole number, and you get that much courage back, which will take him, Christopher St. George, back here to -6, putting him in a little bit of a better scenario. It is also now he outnumbers them for his next turn. And so that kills the first monster, and that will end our first combat action with him. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll do another exciting turn over here with Iron Sullivan. We're gonna do a search check with him. So we're doing a yellow difficulty search check. You turn it to red, so the next time he searches, he would do a hard search check, which is kind of risky at this point. So let's go ahead and go back. We roll a single d6. Alright, we rolled a 1. That's not ideal for what we're doing here. So what we'll go ahead and do is we will use his magnifying glass here, which lets you reroll any search check once per round. So we're going to use that ability, and we'll exhaust it to show that we used it, though we don't have to in this particular case. It's just a good reminder so you don't cheat. We'll roll again. We got a 4. So that's a little bit better. Okay. Alright, so let's go ahead and transfer back over here. And let's grab our little booklet. A 4 on yellow is going to be an adventure. So grab our first adventure here. First time we've had one of these. You are awestruck by the architecture of this room. Looking off to the side you see, you've blundered right into a tremendous spider web and something crawling up your back. Make a dexterity check. Fortunately, my guy's not the best in terms of making a dexterity checks. But I do get +1 to story checks. So I'm going to be 2 dexterity +1, so I'll roll 3 dice to see if we pass this adventure or not. So let's hop over here to our lovely dice page. Roll 3 dice. And 5. We passed. Beautiful. Okay, so let's head back here. Maybe it's better to do it like this. Probably not. So you keep your cool. Grabbing a nearby broom handle, you carefully brush off the 50 huge tarantulas from your back. They fall to the floor, skittering away under, around, and over everything. And I gain 3 courage because I successfully did that. So let's go ahead and go over here to my track, and we'll go up 3. So 1, 2, 3. This pushes me into the new area where I am now another +1 to story checks. So my guy's really good at these stories. Okay, that is the end of his turn. So let's head back over here to Christopher St. George, who's, in the midst of fighting hordes and hordes of undead. So we'll do another combat action with him. I forgot to turn this Tommy gun. You can still use it even when it's exhausted. It's just a reminder that during upkeep you get to do rolls with it. Alright, so he's going to do an area combat action again on these guys. So, let's go back over to our lovely dice page here. And he has his 4 for dexterity. He's got 4 for the Tommy gun, minus 1. So he's going to roll his 7 dice. So let's go ahead and roll. So for his first one, he has 1, 2, 3 successes. And remember, so let's go ahead and hop back again to here. On these monsters, they have a 3 combat rating, so we don't take any damage. He takes 3 damage. The first one he fought over here only had 2 health left, so he kills this one. So he has now killed 2 of the 3 necessary guys. And I did forget the outnumber bonus for that combat, I apologize. So I get the same thing, I'll get 3 more soul shards here. So that brings him up to 6, and let's go ahead and hop back over and we'll do combat again on this. So let's go ahead and go back. And I also gained 1 more courage when I defeated him. It still puts me at the minus 1 to all checks though. So let's go back. So, alright, so now we actually do get to utilize the outnumber bonus. So I have a 4 for my dexterity. I have 4 for the Tommy gun, minus 1 for all checks because I'm at negative courage. But there's 1 of them and 3 of us, so I outnumber them by 2. So we actually get 9 dice this go around. Doesn't like me trying to select 9 apparently. Let me slide this around here. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 successes. So we beat the creature's combat rating, which again is listed on the card here, which is 3, and we did 5 damage with no armor. So we killed that one, which gets us again 3 more shards. And takes us down 1 more courage, so we're now at negative 4, not too shabby. Let's clean off the board here. So he has now defeated all 3 of the keepers of the tomb, and that is going to get us the Staff of Ra, which apparently I didn't set aside, and I lied about the whole setup, so I apologize. Let me get that here, 1 minute, guys. Staff of Ra, and we need the Cowl of Anubis is the last icon. Cowl of Anubis, there we go. Alright, I've gotten all 3. I'll shuffle those if I have to ever draw an artifact. Okay, so once you've defeated all 3, then you get the Staff of Ra. Staff of Ra is a knowledge-based 2-handed weapon. And basically it gives you a +5 to your combat rating, and it attacks with your knowledge stat. You can exhaust the ability to get +10 combat rating versus undead and horror creatures. So this would actually be +15 versus those creatures. And then when you have used this card 3 times, you discard it. This applies to the special ability, so you can always use it for the knowledge attack if you need to. Unfortunately, Christopher St. George is not very knowledgeable. He's got a 1 knowledge. So, not the best, but still not terrible. Good weapon, and he can always trade it later. Alright, let's go ahead, and now we can swap back over to our good old Iron of Sullivan, and we'll get him exploring. We'll send him over here. So, let's find ourselves a nice level 1, 2, 3 tile. Here we go. What do we find? The Labors of Hercules. So these are special room tiles. They have no expiration. That actually happens on them. We'll go ahead and lay it down. Okay. So they have no expiration, but they do have a special icon up there. And so these are special rooms that are actually artifact searches, which we'll go over that in a second. And then there's an adventure that will happen. So let me go ahead and grab our adventure here. Okay, so again, the adventures cards are actually two-sided. They have a misadventure on one side, adventure on the other. So we're doing an adventure. So in the darkness, you hear a rhythmic buzzing. You find a man strapped to a thick iron chair being electrocuted every 30 seconds. He begs you to pull the lever to release him and then falls unconscious. But which lever do you need to pull? And so here's one of the ones where you have to do a knowledge test, and it has a number next to it, which is 2, which means I need 2 successes in order to actually pass this. So let's go ahead and go over to our dice. Alright, so Iron O'Sullivan has a 3 knowledge, and because of his courage, he gets +1, so that's 4 knowledge. And because of Sir Lawrence of Britain, that will get him 5 knowledge, and he needs 2 successes to do that. So, oh, I also get +2 checks as well for Sir Lawrence. So let me actually hop here so I can show you so you know what I'm actually talking about. Let me grab this. Alright, so Iron O'Sullivan has a 3 knowledge, so we'd roll 3 dice, +1 for story checks, and then here he also gets +1 for story checks, and +2 for knowledge checks. So he's actually pretty okay for this particular test. So let's go ahead and transfer back over to the dice page. Alright, so we're going to roll 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dice. And we're just going to see what happens. We're not going to use any audacity. So we'll roll our dice. And we got 1, 2, 3 successes. So we have managed to succeed on this adventure. You hear the generator begin to power on again. Instead of pulling a lever, you cut the wires leading to the ceiling and ground them on a nearby rock. What a stroke of genius. You saved him, searched the companion deck, and gained the first male companion. Okay. So we're actually going to get a new companion. So let me grab the companion deck here. Give it a quick shuffle ruffle up here. Okay. Alright, so here's the companion deck. It's actually pretty small, but okay, there we go. We found Joseph Marks on the first draw. So he lets you always ignore armor during combat checks, which is phenomenal. You can exhaust him to reroll 1 dexterity combat roll, and then his upkeep's refreshing. There we go. Alright. So that's what we got. So I now have 3 companions with Iron O'Sullivan. Alright, so let's go ahead and head back over here to Christopher St. George. Now he hasn't done a search action, so let's go ahead and we'll do a search action with him. So let's swap over to our dice page here. Go ahead and go back. Roll our single d6. And he rolled a 3. So we'll head back here. So a 3 on green is going to be the compass, which is an adventure. So let's go on an adventure. A purple energy encircles the floor ahead, and a rift in time and space snaps into existence. A man steps out dressed in strange foreign garb. Alright, this is some of the hardest tests to pass with most of the people, at least that I have played. They're audacity tests, and you have to make an audacity too. So, to do these, you will go ahead and look at your current audacity, which is a 3, and that's all you get. Oh, we have the Fedora actually, which gets us +1 to all storage checks. So we're going to roll 4 dice and hope that we get lucky, guys. Go back. We'll actually do, we will spend one of those. Oh, no, I'm sorry. You cannot actually spend Audacity on Audacity checks to make them easier. So this is always what you roll, which is another reason why they're so difficult. And that is all failures, gentlemen and ladies. So let's hop back over here and read what happens on the failing text. The man reaches into his backpack and pulls out something familiar. He hands it to you, telling you that you'll need it in the future. He jumps backwards, back into the portal. Gain 1 treasure. Okay, so let's see what treasure he grabbed. He gave him the Badge of Courage. When you deal the killing damage to any creature, you regain all courage lost from that creature instead of the normal half, rounded up. Sweet. Alright, so you'll take this. I forgot to do it in time, but you'll turn it up to yellow, so now it's primary on yellow. And that was the end of his turn. So, let's go ahead and hop back over here. And we will, let's go ahead and I'll actually explain to you guys the rules for exploring or using an action to try to explore an artifact room, which is what this room is, which is the Labors of Hercules. So basically when you're doing these, you have to do an Audacity 2 test. So they're pretty hard to do. And then if you pass it, you will search the artifact deck for the listed card that's actually written on the tile, and then you get to take it, and you lose 1 Audacity. If you fail, you can't find it, and you lose 2 Audacity. So I only have 3 Audacity right now on Iron Sullivan, so probably not a good idea to try that. So I'll just continue exploring with him. So here we go. I found the Arc Portal Room. It has a special action. You can actually use one of your action points to activate it. You move your character to any explored room in the tomb. No, I'm sorry. You actually always have to match up these little green symbols as best you can. And we get ourselves an adventure. So let me grab that. Flip it over. You see 2 tribal people, faces painted with skulls, lowering a white hot stone onto a young man's face as he lets out a blood-curdling scream and cries out to you for help. Make a strength test. Okay, so let's hop back over here. Alright, so Iron O'Sullivan has a strength of 4, +1 to his story tests, from his courage +1, so 5, 6. So he has a total of 6, it looks like. 6 dice. So basically, again, it's 4. We'll do it here. 4 for his strength. 1 for his courage, bringing him to 5. +1 because of Sir Lawrence. +1 story checks. So that brings him up to a 6. So let's roll our dice. And we got 1 success. Alright, good. Hop back over here, and let's see what happens. You sneak up on the men and strike them from behind. Dispatching them quickly, you untie the boy, who overflows with gratitude. He tells you some secrets of the tomb and runs off towards the exit. Reveal the top 5 room tiles and then replace them in any order. Okay. Alright, so let's take a look, see what we got here. This is a level 3 tile. Level 1, 2, 3. So what we're really looking for are... Okay, let's... Alright. So this room would trigger the Curse of the Mummy, so we don't want that one right now. This room doesn't hurt us. And again, the red icon, or the red outline, are needed for, that's when monsters will spawn. So that's another one. We don't want that. Okay, good. Alright, so what we'll do is we'll put the 2 trap rooms down there. So they're on the bottom. We'll put this room on the top, which is a level 1. We actually don't want to do that'll work. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yep, okay. That will do for rearranging the tiles in any order we like. And that ends all 6 of Iron O'Sullivan's actions. So let us go ahead and head back over here and use the last action of Christopher St. George. And what we'll do with Christopher St. George is we'll go ahead and we will explore. So we'll find that room here. And he will have moved into there. Alright, so this particular room is the Sun Room of Amun-Ra, and there's an adventure in that room, so let's go on an adventure. Digging around through some rubble littering the floor, you think you find an Indus Valley burial mound. You get most of the boulders off, but there is a huge one. You have to make a strength check. So Christopher St. George has a 3 strength, plus 1 for story checks. So he has a 4 strength right now. Minus 1 to all checks, which we think we might have forgotten about before, but no big deal. So we're only going to roll 3 dice. And he rolled a 1, 2, and 3. Okay. So I could use my Audacity to re-roll it, but I want to save it. So let's go ahead and go back here. There we go. And the boulder is just too heavy for you. You look around for something you can use as a lever. So now we have to make a knowledge text, which is not very good. Alright. So Christopher St. George has a knowledge of 1, plus 1 for story, but he has minus 1. So we get a single die. Hey, we got a passing number. Okay, so let's swap back over here. Alright, ouch! You definitely pull something in your back, but you uncover a small pouch filled with soul shards, plus 5 soul shards. Okay, so that ends that, and that is the end of the first adventurer's phase, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and run through the tomb phase, and we'll call it a wrap for this first little video here. So, first thing that happens here on the tomb phase is we draw the top card from the tomb deck. And then we will go ahead and start with 1. All plus 2 combat during this tomb phase. So this is titled More Alive Than Dead. So we'll move creatures. There are no creatures on the board. Alright. Then creature combat would happen, which there are no. So then we go to spawning creatures, which the only place that we can spawn creatures is on level 2. So we'll spawn a basic creature. Just grab one at random here. Boom. On level 2, and I need this. Hold on, guys, let me set this down. Here we go. Alright, so we found ourselves a siren. There she is. Just for all your love and glory, guys. And they will spawn in the red rooms. And you want to balance it as best you can if you have multiple ones, and you choose where they spawn. So that's where she spawns. Next we go to our upkeep section. So upkeep is where you'll look around at your cards. If you used any of those, you'll refresh. In this case we have the Tommy gun. We need to go ahead and do its upkeep. So we have to roll a die, and then on a 1 or a 2 you discard this card. So let's hop back over to our dice page. I guess we could have just done, there we go. Alright, so he rolled a 3, meaning he does not have to discard his card, which is really good. It's a very good weapon. We don't want to lose it. Alright, let's go over here. Iron O'Sullivan did in fact use his magnifying glass. It just comes back to me And we didn't have to use anybody else's combat bonuses that time. So we're good. That is the end of the first tomb phase. Oh, I apologize. So next thing that happens is you take these search dials and you'll rotate them one direction. So I go from red to green. Christopher St. George is now on red, which is the most dangerous searching that you can do. Comet track is the next thing. We moves up by 1. Right there. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. That is the tomb phase. So in the next video, we will go ahead and start again and continue exploring this tomb until we get to fight Ra's al Ghul. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.